Boom 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 a boom boom ba ba dum bum bum a boom boom ba boom bum ba boom bum ba boom bum bum ba ba dum bum bum ba boom bum 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 ba boom bum a boom boom ba ba dum bum ba boom bum ba boom bum bum ba ba dum boom boom ba boom bum
Ya 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 taray la di da ya toy do do.
Okay.
Yeah, you ready? Okay. All right, so we actually reached 5 lines from the bottom. The line starts with the word shom. I want to take the opportunity here, even though it doesn't go into great detail. We already discussed the fact that the oil, pardon me, remains oil even when it is in the keli. What does it mean it remains oil? In a keli, it's presented in a very tangible manner, and thus one can take just the keli element and not recognize the oil behind it. What is oil? This we discussed yesterday. The oil means the truth behind it. Keli is a circumstantial. The cause and effect element, which is very easily graspable, very tangible, and it belies, so to speak, that there is an oyer behind it, as we have it, in fact, in our world, unfortunately, still, that worldliness belies godliness. You have to be blind not to see it, but if you could see the world without looking at it, so that's it. That people are satisfied with that. So that's the reality. Who says you have to look at it? Who says that sight brings you so greater thing? The sight is your own experience. I mean, I don't want to go into this anymore. This is what a keli is. And nevertheless, we are saying that in this keli there is oyer, which means there is an element of truth that gives life to the keli and makes the keli real. And in that, there are different madrigas. There is kli ha-chochma and oyer ha-chochma. And then there's the kelim of moichin in general and the oyer ha-moichin. And then there is the kelim of midos in general and the oyer ha-midos. Yesterday, we identified in general the difference between midos and moichin. where Moichin is focused and is capable, is sensitive to the reality of things and how things are real, not as they are pertaining to the observer, how they affect them, but how they are in them themselves. That's Moichin, that's Inyan Seichel. And the Midas, this is how it affects the person and he reacts to it. So clearly there, it's a completely different oir element. Because in order that one should recognize a reality outside, beyond that of his effect, beyond that how it affects him, he has to recognize the overall principle that there is a truth beyond him, his existence. And that already lifts him up to a completely different realm. This is Moichin. Midas are things which are within his own experience. It's a completely different level. He himself, so to speak, is the test case for the Midas. Whereas Moichin has a completely different basis, a completely different principle. And I want to spend a little time to identify, as we said yesterday, the difference between Chochmah and Moichin. Said Chochmah is in a category by itself. The Keli is Bedakus, and therefore the Oyer is Meir Begili Oyer Rav. Even to the extent that Chochmah actually tends to be more emunah than Seichel. Although this is not the case. There is a Seichel element in Chochmah, but the Seichel is so refined and so much oil dependent rather than Keli, that it seems almost like it's emunah. Emunah means it's an neshama experience. It's not a brain experience. So I want to focus on this Inyan HaChochmah for a moment. We have to identify the two parts of Chochmah, the Oir HaChochmah and the Kli HaChochmah. Now Chochmah, as is identified in Chassidus, Chochmah is, as we said yesterday, also the principle of recognition of the pure truth. In Tanya, the expression is Hu levadei hu ve'enzu losa zuhi madrigas hachochmah. He alone, ve'enzu losa, and there's none but him. This is madrigas hachochmah. Now this is madrigas hachochmah of Atzilus, but this is also madrigas hachochmah in the human being at a completely different level, clearly. But nevertheless, what is the statement there? That chochmah is focused, and chochmah relates the principle of truth itself. Not true, not proof, not proven truth, but the principle of truth. And in that, there is the Keli HaChochmah and there is the Oir HaChochmah. There is a phenomenal element in our experience, which is extremely common. I mean, hopefully everyone recognizes this. And this we spoke about many times. The Ayin, the fundamental reality of Gashmius. That Gashmius is something that we see clearly not from a perspective of what it means for me and how it can affect me, but we see it as a standalone reality. Chassidus says that this emes, this mitzias of a Gashmi, of a dover, that belies any source and says that it's a mitzias unto itself without any source. This is Gashmis. Now, on the one hand, the point is that the Gashmis is concealing Elokus, but I want to speak from a different angle completely. Because in fact, Gashmis is revealing Elokus to the greatest degree, if one really perceives it with Chokhmah. Now, I want to ask a very simple question. I'd like you to contemplate on this. This principle that Gashmis is a Metzias Amitis, undeniable Metzias, is this something which the animal also recognizes, or is this uniquely human? Do you think the animal looks at Gashmis also with that same awe, that same sense of reality, and recognizes that such? Or is this something which is just a human way of looking at it? Any reaction?
Of course not.
Huh?
No. Only humans.
Only humans.
Only humans see it.
Animal, absolutely. I mean, I certainly an implication of the question itself. But do we sense it? Hey, human beings, are we sensing it? Do you think the animal looks at the tree as a tree or as something to avoid or something to climb on? A dog, you pass by the dog. Only a well-trained dog, walking with its master, will walk by you without paying attention to you. The first thing a dog will go, will smell your feet, or whatever it is. He doesn't know how to relate to things independently of himself. He's drawn to it automatically because that's what he sees. He sees nothing else. Of course you want me to come up because that's why you're there. And then the owner says, don't worry, he's a very friendly dog. Come on, keep him out of me. I have friendly human beings. I don't need a friendly dog. Can we see it a little bit? The Frierdiker Rebbe speaks in my Morim a lot on this topic. He says, a behemoth can be walking and trampling on kelim, on valuable kelim, on clothing, on humans without being aware. that is doing anything. It can't even be blamed. It's a behemoth. And we're talking about a behemoth, that's used to human beings, a horse, you know. Nothing. We have to clearly understand, and this is a very good illustration of the point, because the reality of the Gashmi, this is why we always say that somebody doesn't have sight, it doesn't have a Yetzer Hara. Because the human Yetzer Hara is drawn to something real. And if sight presents to him the reality of it, as we discussed many times, and we will in the future with greater points. Sight is what gives it a sense of reality. Touch is not reality. Touch is how it affects me, not an independent reality. Sight is where he experiences the infinite reality. So this is something which is exclusively human. What is the faculty that gives a human being that perception? What is the faculty that gives a person this perception? Is it his logical thinking, oh, this was not here yesterday, it's here now, it must be very real? I mean, wow, what makes him see it that way? Huh? Chokhmah. This is Chokhmah. Chokhmah sees things from a reality perspective. And it says only the reality of it. What is there for? That's trivial. I'm not interested. And it's real.
And what it's there for is trivial. So
secondary.
So this way you can really see the tree, as opposed to what you could use it for.
Yeah, of course. What are we observing? We spoke yesterday. You observe the mountain range. You observe a forest. You observe a field. You know, a green field. What are you observing? A certain living reality. This is the faculty of Chokhmah, which is called Chokhmah. What is this really representative of? Now, what kind of faculty is Chokhmah? Chokhmah is where a person senses the pure life element of his neshama. And therefore, he relates to that which life sees, which life relates to. Not guf, but neshama. Okay, I need to do I have you with me? Hello? Yeah.
I think when we started out, we were saying about the undeniable reality of physical existence. So now we're tying it to Chokhmah. This is a human way of seeing. This is a soul way
Well,
of
we
seeing.
started by pointing out that this view is exclusively human. We all agreed on that. It's very important to me that we experience what we're talking about, not I'm just saying words. Okay, we agree on that. Now we try to identify what kind of faculty is it. This is a faculty where we experience pure life. It's nothing to do with what we do and how we act and what it means to me. Nothing. It's just the fact that we are alive. So there is the union that we are alive. This is in the Shoma. This is also an anointing, this makif. And then there is the experience of it. That's in Choch. That's in sight. Were they struggling?
It's this that we experiencing life, and that is why we see things as real. For some reason, I'm not making that connection. Why this that we experience life?
Wait a second. Yeah. You may have missed a word or two, and then in Chokhmah we experience a life, the fact that we are alive.
I think I have the same question. I think you went a step further and answered it. We spoke about how in Chokhmah we sense the reality of the Gashmi, and then we went to another phase how that is the experience of life, and I don't see the connection between experience, the reality of something, that everything is real, how that equates to experiencing life. That jump, I didn't.
Okay. Good enough. How do we experience something that's tangible by touch? We pointed out by touch we experience. The reason I jumped is because we discussed this many times in the past, and even from sight that we see. Okay, let's take it away. By touch, what are we identifying in the object by touch? Please understand. I hit my hand on the table. It hurts me. That's how touch knows things. Touch doesn't relate to the reality. Doesn't care what it is. Can never identify what it is. It is how it affects me. That's touch. This is Gashmi. Where I and the object are two distinct, separate entities. And if I should, and one should come with the other, it is by effect upon the other. I don't know these things independently of myself. I know this thing, how it affects me.
But this sense of me that's being affected by the item I touch, this sense of me, that's what naturally is the experience of life. I'm alive. That's before I touch something. I'm touching something. It affects me. Fine. Sight. I see that thing also is real.
It's not true. It doesn't affect me. It affects my hand. It's the actual factual effect. That's all it is. No difference than a hammer hitting a nail. Except the nail doesn't say ouch, and I will say ouch.
When we sense that everything is real, this is the same as sensing that we're real. That's what we're putting together.
Well, again, I want we should focus. This is a bina element. I want to focus on chokhmah. There is no logic to this. There is logic, but that's not what it's based on. If we know things if this level of knowledge is through logic, we are very far from reality.
I can relate to the idea that we see things as real, and then we see a tree or a human being, and we sense the reality of this. But then the next stage, when we talked about Chachma...
Okay, fine. So I asked, what is the faculty that enables us, that relates to this? The hand is not. The logic is not. And you said you don't know logic. Logic doesn't give you a sense of reality, it gives you a sense of proof, not reality. Reality is something that is because that is reality touches reality. That's what it is. So I started saying, Chokhmah is that faculty, that moment where we actually have a sense, have a gilui hanefesh itself.
Can I ask why does reality touch this statement that you just made? This fact, reality touches reality. I don't know that I completely relate to it.
Okay, forget about it for a second. Think into the following. Only human beings see the tree as an independent reality.
Yes.
A dog does not.
Yeah.
Why? This contrast is very important to focus in. Why? Like we always ask the question. The world without a human being, we all sense it's nothing. A human being changes the whole thing. Why? What has human being added? He added a very simple thing. He said the world is real. He came and says, wait a second, don't touch, don't destroy it. It's real. The animal says, why not destroy it? I'm not suffering. Remember Dr. Kevorkian?
Dr. Death.
He was standing on this woman that's being starved to death and looks her in the eyes. And here's this Dr. Kevorkian says, she is at peace with us. Anyway, so let's come back to life here. Chokhmah is that moment. That's why I say Chokhmah. That the Chokhmah is represented by the Yud, and the Yud has a tip. What's called Koitze Shel Yud. Koitze Shel Yud. This is the Amunah element. Amunah is the pshat. I don't even know what I know. I don't need to know. I don't need to identify it. There is an absolute truth, period. That's Amunah. Amunah means steadfast. Steadfast means it's not dependent on my identity. It's just the reality itself. It's a godly reality. It begins. It doesn't start from non-being. It's a being. It starts from being.
You're saying
No.
only a human being has chachma.
Only a being has chokhmah.
And you were in this idea that the reality touches reality. This is because a human being. This is connected to the idea that only a human being has chachma, right? Because only a human being is for real. A full-fledged. This is where I'm.
One second. You are a human being. If you were not, I wouldn't be talking to you. Which means you have chokhmah.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to you not to your bina, but to your chokhmah. You're trying to make sense of it, and I'm trying to tell you, no, that's not the guy I'm talking to. This is why, yes, do you experience, do you see it or not?
Well, we could make sense of it.
You can make sense of it afterwards.
Okay.
But no, but you can't take it by making sense of it.
Okay.
You cannot. Okay, so we have to interrupt now. I think it was a valiant attempt. We'll pursue it tomorrow, Mr.
Is that connected to that?
1 second. Somebody saying something? No. Okay. Have a good day. What?
Is that connected to because we have in our insight the faith that there's Matzui Rishon? This is the difference. This is reality into reality. That because there's Matzui Rishon. That's the from the Emunah. Matzui Rishon is the first being. So when we look at a tree, or we look at an outside any outside object,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
because
Yes.
there is Matzui Rishon.
How do we know this Matzui Rishon?
From our a sense of the neshama we have in us.
Thanks, Anton.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to resolve this discussion in a different way. And the reason I'm going to say this is because I want to see why, if I'm on or off, that the person applies their chachma as a means for reality, because there's a rotzon. It begins with the rotzon within the person, that he's. I know it's the rotzon connects him to the neshama. So what chachma does at that point, it's a function of rotzon. If there was not that all pervasive Ratzon within the person that said, I'm real, I'm a neshama thing, then the Chokhmah would be just a separate function. And it's really a function of the Ratzon. The Koyach Chokhmah is a function of Ratzon.
Yes, it is.
No.